Hey everybody, streaming John with 1732's Freedom Circuit. As you can see, we got a new background going on here. Some of y'all told me that it looked like an old lady's house with the fireplace, so we got this here. So we're getting a little modern here. Also, you can see the new animations and stuff like that. So we're having fun with this show, and that comes from support like you guys. Speaking of support, Rumble has a tip jar now. So if you happen to be on Rumble and you want to support the show, the money will go back into the show. And you just go up into the channel page, and up at the top, you can click tip jar and add its digital currency. It's through Bitcoins and stuff like that through the Rumble wallet. Highly recommend it, by the way, even if you don't tip the show or anything like that. But you can support your creators that way. And if you happen to be watching this on another platform, go to Rumble at 1732 streaming. And I prefer that you watch the show there. But if you're watching me on YouTube, that's fine too. But you can support me better through Rumble. So, all right. And also, if you don't mind, give us a follow on whatever platform you happen to be on. You can follow us at 1732 streaming on Rumble and on YouTube. You can also follow us on TikTok, and you can follow us at Streaming John on Facebook, Instagram as well. And we're also on X at 1732 streaming as well. So let's go ahead and get into our first segment here, guys. We are going to have a Virginia update. All right. Yep. Like I said, loving the new animations here. My AI helps me out with that. It's pretty cool. So, all right, Virginia update, guys. So, if you happen to be following right now, obviously you know that Virginia's going through this gerrymandering BS crap right now that, most of Virginia actually doesn't like. So, if you don't mind here, on April 21st is the election, or I'm sorry, is the voting on adding a new amendment to redistrict all of Virginia's lines. Now, keep in mind that that brings, if it were to pass, it would bring us from right now, I believe we're 5 to 4 or 6 to 5, I can't remember exactly, representation, obviously with the Democrats in the lead. It would bring us to a 10-1. 10 Democrat representatives and one Republican. And as I said in a previous podcast, you can go back and look at the maps. All the maps touch Northern Virginia. So most of them except one for the most part. I think I don't want to say just one, it might be one or two, but the majority of them touch Northern Virginia. So they can count that voter population in your districts. I live in Hanover County, Virginia, so that means my representation is coming from Northern Virginia. None of us give a shit what happens in Northern Virginia, and they don't give a shit what happens in Hanover County. So that's kind of destroying representation, in my humble opinion. They said they're doing this because they want elections to be fair on the national level. My first question to you is I want you to take Texas and everybody else out of that. Whether I agree with it or not is irrelevant. You need to be representing your constituents in your state, not the national level. Virginians need to care about Virginians when it comes to representation in this situation. That would absolutely disenfranchise, one side and give total power to the other. That is not what we want to do. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It's just not fair at the end of the day. And they say it's a temporary measure, but let's be real here. Do you think they're actually going to give it up if they take power? Come on, let's be real. No, they're not. So that's that. The vote is on April 21st. And make sure you vote no to gerrymandering in the state of Virginia. We need to stop this shit in its tracks right now, guys. We need to just absolutely just stop it. All right, so moving on to another Virginia update here. So one of the things I want to touch on here real quick is Senate Bill 593. If you want to go look it up, you can. Don't just take my word for it. You can search SB 593 in the Senate. So there is a committee meeting here today in Virginia. Today is February 26, 2026, before it goes into the Senate and the House and all that good stuff. SB 93, what that does, that affects the industry that I work in. I'm not going to tell you who I work for, but I don't mind telling you the industry, EMS specifically. So SB 93, so just to give you a quick background, what happens when you're transported by ambulance, whether it's a private company or a local government if they charge for services, is they send the bill to your insurance company, and your insurance company says, we cover this amount. So what SB 93 is seeking to do is to eliminate what is called balance billing. Balance billing is, now we're just going to use an example. This is not necessarily what this is or how people charge. Let's say that you get transported by ambulance, whether it's 911 or private company, doesn't matter, and your total bill is $1,000. Okay. What this bill is looking to do, SB 93, is to eliminate the balance billing. So what that means is the bill total is $1,000. Your insurance only covers $500 of it. What this Senate bill does right now is it says that the ambulance company, whether it's 911 or private, cannot bill the balance to the patient. So the additional $500. Now, on its face, that sounds great, right? I'm not, I don't get a surprise bill or I get a smaller bill or something like that. And, let somebody else figure it out. Well, here's the bad news, guys. As somebody that works in that industry, I can tell you right now that the insurance companies, right now, currently, you can go and look it up yourself if you look it up, is 60% of ambulance companies, or I'm sorry, 60% of insurance companies do not participate with ambulance companies in Virginia. So, you know, now that's a problem unto itself, right? And the reason is these insurance companies do not want to pay the total ambulance bill. So they don't want to pay $1,000. They only want to pay the $500. So ambulance companies balance bill. They don't set up contracts with these insurance companies because they don't want to pay the full balance. Again, as the patient, that probably sounds great, right? And I get it. I really, really do. Ambulances are not cheap. Trust me, I know. But that hurts your ambulance company at the end of the day. I can guarantee you that these insurance companies are not going to pay enough to keep those ambulances on the road. You have crew wages, you have maintenance on the vehicles, you have fuel, you have medical equipment. And as someone who orders medical equipment, I can tell you it is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. So what's going to happen is that if this gets passed, is these ambulance companies will not be able to bill the balance to the patient. They get stuck with whatever the insurance companies give them, $250, $500, whatever, of $1,000 bill. And now the ambulance company has to eat that. Now, they could go after the hospital or something like that, but why would the hospital want to pay for it? And if the hospital did, where do you think that balance is going to go? Back into the patient on their total bill, or it's just going to raise prices, for all the services inside the hospital if they have to start paying for ambulances. So again, insurance companies not participating with ambulance companies, yeah, that's a big problem, right? That's a whole other conversation. But as it stands right now, we do not want this bill to pass. If this passes, you're going to see problems with reimbursement where ambulance companies are not going to make enough money to supply people, ambulances, all that good stuff. So you're going to start seeing some major problems. You're going to see if an ambulance company is not making money, they're going to destaff their ambulances. You're going to have, if a company has 50 ambulances on the road, they're going to knock it back to 25, 30, 40, whatever the case may be. Now, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. Let me tell you what, there are never enough ambulances. Anytime you take ambulances out of a network, out of a system, whatever, it hurts, period, at the end of the day. Your response times, if you call 911, it's going to take longer for an ambulance to show up. They're not making money. So, sorry, less ambulances. They're not going to be able to hire people, right, at the end of the day because these wages, they're not going to be able to afford these wages. So, again, less people. They might not be able to afford all the most modern equipment, right? Because you know what? They're not getting paid. So, you know, subpar equipment, subpar ambulances, subpar resources, subpar response times, and less staffing at the end of the day. Again, I'm not saying there's not a bigger problem out there where insurance companies need to work with these ambulance companies and actually make sure that they're making money. But as it stands right now, you should reach out to your representatives in Virginia and say, hell no. Because at the end of the day, this is going to affect you as the consumer and also as the public at large. You're the ones that are going to suffer for this, and also employment. Ambulance companies, 911, these people are employed. You're going to look at less jobs if ambulance companies and EMS is not getting paid. You're going to have less people on the street. All right, so less employment, all that good stuff. So do me a favor, go to the Virginia government website, try to find your representative, and speak out against this. SB 593 is the bill. That's our Virginia update for today. Let's move on to the next thing. So, goodbye, Virginia update. All right, so that was our Virginia update. Again, love these animations, having fun with them. So, let's move into the next thing here. All right, folks, so here we go. Here's our new segment that we've been doing here. The last show is going to be Freedom Circuit's Sport Update. All right, folks. Again, loving the animations, having fun with them. Let me know if you like them, guys. Drop some comments. I'm having fun with them. So, all right, let's get into the sports update here. All right, so as you know, this past weekend we had NASCAR fans. We had the Atlanta Motor Speedway race here, and guess what? You have a couple of winners here to talk about. We have in the O'Reilly series, we had Sheldon Creed. He finally got his first win in the O'Reilly series, so congratulations there, Sheldon Creed. Truck series, we got Kyle Busch getting it done. That was a good race too, by the way. And in the Cup Series, you have Tyler Reddick. Man, he is on it. This is the second win in a row for 23XI, and Tyler Reddick as well. As a matter of fact, if you go back and look at the end of the race and he's celebrating, there's a fender missing from his car, so he won the race with missing a fender. So that was pretty awesome for you NASCAR fans out there. All three good races. I watched them all, and you got your next race coming up here, so we'll have an update on that. Now let's move into Team USA. All right, men and women taking the gold in hockey against Canada again, and both men and women suck at Canada. Yeah, amen. Man, Canada, America's top hat. That country doesn't exist without the USA at the end of the day. So yeah, it was great, guys. It was a good, I went back. I didn't watch the full. I watched part of the game, but I didn't watch the whole game. But I did see where they won at the end, and that was pretty cool, man. And also, hats off to Team USA, men's team. I'm sorry I didn't watch the celebration for the women's team, but the men's team, you guys were just patriotic as hell, not bashing this country like these other jackasses in the Olympics, man. That's awesome, man. It's just awesome to be an American, and we're happy to see that. So that is our sports update for Freedom Circuit. We're moving on. All right, and that was the sports update. So let's move on here. Oh, hold on. I think we have a guest here, real quick. Let's see. Here. Oh, maybe not. All right. That was the sports update, everyone. And here we are. We have a guest. This is Reese. If you haven't met him, say hi to Reese in the comments. Otherwise, you're a communist. He absolutely deserves love and respect because he is the main dog, ain't you, baby? Go on. There he goes. On to the next. All right. So, all right. Again, don't forget to say hi to Reese. He deserves all the love and attention that you can possibly get him. Moving on from our special guest, Reese, let's go into a not so special guest, Hillary Clinton. What a bitch. All right, this lady here was talking here recently, overseas here, about immigration. Let's see what you guys think about this. This is very interesting to me. Let's listen here real quick. Let me pull it up for you.
Call it for what it is.
Secretary
There is
Clinton.
a legitimate reason to have a debate about things like migration. It went too far. It's been disruptive and destabilizing, and it needs to be fixed in a humane way with secure borders that don't torture and kill people. Migration has been a
Okay, so that was kind of interesting. So now we're saying that immigration has gone too far. Now, that definitely does not jive with what she said in the past here. This is a transcript from WikiLeaks that came out. My dream is a hemispheric common market with open trade and open borders sometime in the future with energy that is as green and blah, blah, blah. I'm a dirty Democrat, whatever. So, yeah, so now she's not okay with open borders, which makes sense. Her husband deported a lot of illegals, which those of you on the left have probably forgotten, but he deported a lot. The problem is, they kept coming back in. Now, it wasn't near as bad as it was under Biden. They just they just kept coming in, and even if we deported them, which we really didn't. So I find that interesting that all of a sudden she's flipping the script. Now, why do you think she is flipping the script? That almost doesn't make sense to me. Drop a comment. What do you think she means by all this? Now, I'll tell you what I think. It doesn't mean it's the right thing, but it's my opinion. Is she's trying to distance herself from the radical left. Now, she's radical left, right? But we're talking like AOC, Bernie Sanders, and stuff like that. I think she's distancing herself to either make it a run at something. Now, I'm not saying president, or somebody within her previous administration or her husband's is going to try to make a run at something. They're trying to distance themselves from these crazy leftists like AOC, Bernie Sanders, Ilhan Omar, all those jackasses. So I could be wrong. It could also just be political pressure, right? Yeah, everything they say is a lie. They always get wherever the wind's blowing, that's where they're going. They're sensing that the American people actually do want immigration or they want deportation for illegal immigration, and maybe they're just, going with the wind or something like that. I doubt they've changed their opinion, right? I mean, they never, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I thought that was really interesting on Hillary Clinton. So, I mean, that's my opinion. What do you guys think? Drop the comments. I appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and move on from that horrible, vile woman into the next thing here. So, all right, let's talk about tariffs. Okay. So, an interesting thing that happened with tariffs here lately, as you had the Supreme Court come back and say that the Trump tariffs were not allowed under this particular their ruling. So now, hold on, guys, conservatives, it's okay. Don't worry. It was just the way that he did it they had a problem with. He did it under the Emergency Act, and they're saying you can't do that for this particular length of time, and so on and so forth. So keep in mind he has plenty of other tools in his toolbox to do tariffs. As a matter of fact, he's already reinstated them to 10%, and I'm sorry, and at 15%. So tariffs are already there. He has multiple different ways that he can do tariffs, and it is still legal and okay. So whether you agree with the way that he did tariffs under the Emergency Act is irrelevant. He's still going to do them. It's still going to happen. It's still within the law. It's okay. Tariffs are here to stay. So don't give in to doomsday. Everything is fine. We're going to keep our tariffs. We're going to keep the American first agenda as far as tariffs are concerned, and go after these countries that have been taking advantage of us for the last 50 years. And then, if guys drop your opinions, What do you think about tariffs? I have no problem with tariffs personally. Okay. Now, the reason I don't have a problem with tariffs is I do know the history. You have multiple countries that have been taking advantage of our good graces for the last 50 years. And, it's time that they pay the bill. And what I mean by that is, as an example, if you want to buy a vehicle from overseas. So, we have tons of manufacturers here in the US that are not American made. You can't do that in their country. That's a problem, right? We can't sell our goods to them, but they can sell our goods to us. And the United States is one of the largest consumers of goods in the world, if not the largest. So everybody wants a piece of the American pie. Everybody wants to sell to the Americans, but they don't want to buy our products. So what President Trump has done is says, okay, fine, but you're going to have tariffs. You're getting rich off us, but you're not giving us anything in return. I think tariffs are totally fair. I think they should keep up the pressure on that. And like I said, even after the Supreme Court ruling, don't worry about it. Tariffs are here to stay. So that's my take on tariffs. What do you guys think? Drop it in the comments. All right, let's move on here to the next segment. All right, the Mar-a-Lago shooting. Okay, guys, this shit has got to stop. you know and it doesn't matter to me if this individual is right wing, left wing. I don't care. The political temperature in this country has gotten too high, where people are getting comfortable with making attempts on our president. Now, the president was not there, so this was early Sunday morning. An armed man in his early 20s breached the secure perimeter at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Palm Beach, Florida. According to the Secret Service, and local law enforcement, he was carrying what appeared to be a shotgun and a fuel can near the north gate of the property, slipping in as the gate opened for people leaving. That's weird, right? Why are you bringing a shotgun and a gas can to Mar-a-Lago, especially if you don't belong there, right? Law enforcement identified him as 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin from Cameron, North Carolina. His family had actually reported him missing the day before. So, from their perspective, this went from a missing person case to a federal shooting in a matter of hours. So, that's got to be just absolutely tragic for this family. So, I really do feel bad for him. The agents confronted him, ordered him to drop what he was holding. He put down the fuel can, but raised his shotgun, and as you can guess, they unalived him. He is no longer with us. So, this is just an example of, the political pressure in this nation right now, and the violence that is taking place. Like, we have to, both sides have to take it easy. Now, what I mean by that really is the left, right? The right's not really instigating in any way, shape, or form. The left is the one that's going out there calling us Nazi, fascist, whatever the hell, bullshit they come up for the day. And if you think somebody is Hitler, okay, what are your thoughts? Okay. Now, and then pretend that you're not a grounded conservative like myself and actually understand things. But if somebody thinks somebody is Hitler, Hitler was bad. They're going to want to try to kill them, or they're a fascist, or something like that. So, they got to stop this. Whether you like President Trump, whether you like any representative on the right or left, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. You can't say stuff like that. He's not a fascist, by the way. If he was a fascist, he's doing a horrible job of taking power. Let's be real right now, right? If anything, he's given more power to the American people and local governments and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you think he's a fascist, you need to prove it to me. Show me. Show your work. Show me why you think he's a fascist, and then we can have a discussion about it. I can't find any evidence of it. So, cut out that rhetoric, cut that crap out right now. Somebody's going to get killed. Well, somebody already did get killed. Charlie Kirk, he got killed, for the rhetoric. So, I mean, yeah, escalating the temperatures in this nation is not a good idea, right? At the end of the day, we don't want something to pop off. I hope nothing pops off. I really don't. I don't want a civil war. I don't want violence in the streets and stuff like that. But we need to stop this, guys. It is unacceptable where a president, we know of at least three, right? There was the in Butler and at his golf course, and now at Mar-a-Lago. And I was watching Dan Bongino the other day, and there's indications there are probably more attempts that we just don't know about. That's unacceptable, guys. There should not be a sitting president. I don't care who the president is, that this many people are trying to kill him. That's just ridiculous. I mean, that man has got to be the most sought after man to be assassinated on this planet right now, and is absolutely ridiculous. So politicians on the left, you need to cut this shit out, right? I mean, it's unacceptable. Cut it out. Nobody likes it. We actually see through it. We know the majority of the American people know that you're full of shit. However, there are some crazy people out there that actually listen to what you're saying, and that's just unacceptable. You need to cut it out. And there are real world consequences for that. In Butler, that poor man that got shot at Butler while they tried to kill President Trump, ended up killing the firefighter. I mean, damn, man, that's my people. Unacceptable. So you're killing innocent people for this rhetoric left. You need to stop it. All right, well, that looks like that's about it for the show today. Kind of a short show. That's okay. I don't mind a short show. If you guys don't mind, give us a follow on whatever platform you happen to be on. You can follow us on Rumble and YouTube and TikTok at 1732 Streaming. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram at Streaming John. So, guys, it was good talking to you. Give me some ideas for the next show. Let me know what you think about the new background and also all the graphics. I'm having a lot of fun with that, trying to make the show better for you guys. Keep safe. Keep your head on a swivel. Peace, guys.